everybody. My name is Chris Alamani. You are watching the Alberniweather podcast for Sunday, November 17th, 2024. We are currently looking at a temperature of 6.1 degrees outside. It is 3.6, or it got down to 3.6 this morning, so pretty cool. The winds are fairly calm, a little bit of a breeze, light air, if you want to use the Beaufort scale, from the northwest. It is good air quality around my neighborhood and no rainfall since midnight. We've had 11 millimeters in the past 24 hours. So I'm going to do a little bit of a update just because there's a very interesting storm developing out in the Pacific. You might have seen it on my Mastodon account. What in tarnation is that? So let's look at that, and we'll just get right into it. So I'm going to use, I'll go to the models that that you normally see in a minute here, but I want to start with the forecasts from the National Oceanographic and Air Administration. This is the Ocean Prediction Center, so these are forecasts based on models, but these are real people making forecasts based on their knowledge. So I wanted to use that more than just the models, because this is a little more professional and a little more um, well presented for the public. So this is the 48-hour forecast. So looking out from it's the 17th, so 17, 520. So that would be last night. So this is last night's forecast, looking out, and it's valid for zero. So that's Tuesday afternoon. Sorry, Monday afternoon, the 18th, is when this is valid for. So this is going to be developing in the Pacific on Monday afternoon, and the concern are these two lows. So there's a strong low coming in, basically moving along this track here from the West Pacific and Central and moving across. And developing hurricane force. So that's not unusual. Hurricane force is super common in the North Pacific. This is not a friendly place to be if you're a ship. And hurricanes are not hurricane force winds are not unusual. But then we have another low that comes down, is expected to come down the coast, and end up in the same general area. So you can see these tracks uh, kind of converging, and the key word here is rapidly intensifying, and that's another word for what you might have heard as a bomb cyclone. So they're expecting this they're expecting this low to develop very rapidly and become very strong very quickly. So if I back up here and go to 24 hours after that, so now we're looking at, or sorry, 12 hours after that, now we're looking at um, Tuesday morning. So this is the morning of the 19th for our time. You can see here it says absorbed. So this is this low coming down from the Gulf of Alaska and combining with this low that's sort of charging across the Pacific. Again, developing hurricane force. So this is already a reasonably strong storm at 989 hectopascals. But again, it says rapidly intensifying. So I want to just show you here. It goes from 4 to 8 hours. They have it at 10:14. I'm just going to get my calculator out here. So they have it at 10:14. There we go. And then in the next 12 hours at 72, they have it at 989. So 989, that is 25 millibars in 12 hours. So that's fairly rapid, but it continues to say rapidly intensifying here, and again developing hurricane force. And the concerning part, of course, is that it is going to come up closer to Vancouver Island, and so in that previous 12 hours, it goes from 1014 to 989. That's 25 millibars. And if you look at this number here, you can see it says 58. And that's what they expect the low to be at in the following forecast. Um, when it approaches Vancouver Island. So that is 989 to 58. You can do the math, but I'm going to do it here so we can see it. Oops. So that's 958. So that is 31. So you can see that's intensifying even more quickly than it was in the last 12-hour forecast. It went down 25 millibars to here, and then another 31 millibars as it approaches Vancouver Island, and that is going to produce some very impressive winds. So you can see, so again, this is Tuesday morning. You can see 55 knot winds out here. That's approaching hurricane force there. But it's going to be much, much stronger at 958 hectopascals. So let's back out and we'll look at the longer range. So this is 96 hours. This is as long as they go. They don't go any further than this on these forecasts. But this is really something. So we can see 958 millibars. That appears to be the strongest that it gets. And we can see this is so the large flag here signifies 50 knots. So each barb is 10 knots, and then when you see a flag at the top, that's 50 knots. So 50 knots plus 1.5, that's 65 knots in the low, which is that's quite strong. That's hurricane force. Um, but the good news is it doesn't appear that it is going to get any closer to the island, or at least the South Island, than that. So right now it has it moving up towards Haida Gwaii, and hanging out up there, but it does weaken. So it goes from 958 back up to 989. So that's the good news. Um, but it's a little difficult to say what the impact is going to be on the island because it's just on the edge of when it will really be affecting us. You can see here this wind barb over top the North Island. That's what east southeasterlies um, at 50 knots. That's a kind of an unusual direction. Um, so I would worry a little bit about unusual tree fall on the North Island, but again, this is too early, and this forecast at least is really meant for being out in the Pacific and out over ocean water. So it's very hard to say what we're going to see over land, and that's where the models are going to come in when we're looking a little closer. So let's switch now to the models. Now you can see that this very strong low. And just to put that into perspective, if we look at category hurricane, right? So if you look at the categories for a hurricane, usually, oh, actually, I wanted to show you there. That's the one I want. So the strongest hurricanes are generally around 900 to 800 hectopascals, right? So we're not nearing, those kinds of extreme speeds. You can see here 918, 929, 943. So that's getting closer. These are all tropical, of course, so it's the different systems, but the pressure still gives you the indication of what the overall wind speed and strength of the storm is. So this is a strong hurricane force, Category 1, Category 2 type of feeling, if you want to give it that kind of correlation. So let's go and look at the models from the University of Washington. They're just finishing up for this morning's run, and let's look at the surface pressure first. So this is the 12 kilometer resolution model. There is some interest here. We do get some chilly air on Monday. So you noticed there was some snow in the forecast, or wet snow in the forecast. That's why, as we are definitely getting a little bit of Arctic air starting to come in over the interior and coming in over the island. So this is Tuesday morning, like I said, is when they expect the most intensification of the low, and you can really see it. Look at these bars here. The isobars are very close together. It's a really low system. So there it is off of the coast. This is Tuesday, 7 to 10 a.m. And you can always look at the bottom here to see what the lowest pressure the model expects. So that's 969 kilopascals, or 969, hectopascals or millibars. Um, and then it intensifies further down to 959. That's at around noon on Tuesday. And then 954. So that's even lower than the forecast here. So this says 958 for the low on the map there, and the model here is saying 953, and every single hectopascal does matter. It does make a difference. So that that is that's an impressive bit of modeling there. And then again, 953. Um, that's Tuesday night. So this is not this is not a small event. It's not a um, and it's not something that's going to go away quickly. You can see how it kind of stalls. So this is 4 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and it spends the morning coming closer and deepening until the afternoon. It's at 9:53. Now this is a fair ways offshore, but look at these isobars. Look at how tight those are. That's just a fantastic amount of bars there. 9:52 at Tuesday, 7 o'clock, and I think this is really probably if if this model is correct, this is probably when we're going to see some sort of strong winds on the west coast, and it's an unusual direction, and that's the part of it that worries me a little bit. I'm glad that it's staying offshore. It's kind of like a drive-by when you're a pedestrian and you see a car go by and it just kind of clips your toes. That's kind of the feeling I get here. But this is really kind of just hanging out. So this is 10 o'clock Tuesday. It is still offshore, still at 9:53. Very, very strong. 9:54 at midnight on Tuesday, Wednesday night. This thing is just kind of hanging out there. And then I believe, by Wednesday morning, it looks like it is starting to fill in a little bit. But again, this is, it's just hanging out there. Um, So this is going to spin up. You can see up here, there's 50 knot winds. 50. This looks like 50, maybe 60. Hard to see. No, that's 40. So this is 50. There's 50. There's 55. Um, yeah, so it's definitely starting to weaken by Wednesday afternoon, and thankfully, the good news of this system is that it is staying offshore as far as the model is expecting at this point. Um, if that changes, then we could have a really serious issue on our hands. So let's just hope that it stays offshore, and that'll be that'll be the best option. So let's see here. I'm just going to back it up a little bit to the point where it's closest. I'm just going to find where the winds peak in our area. So it looks like Tuesday. So Tuesday around 1 o'clock. Um, yeah. So Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night is when we can expect the strongest winds from this thing. In our area. So if I zoom in here, I'm just going to go back. So this is Tuesday afternoon. So this is, see this 16 Tuesday. So that's 4 o'clock on Tuesday. Um, and you can see 45 knots at east southeast. Looks like over the island or just offshore. And then if we go back and go forward a little bit, you can see 952. 953 is what is on the model, but it says 952 inside there. I think that's the lowest it gets. Yeah. So that is its peak intensity. Now, yeah, really, really interesting. We could see. So this is if I zoom in here. So you can see this. This is basically easterly, um, 55 knots. You can see this is 60 knots. And if you're wondering what that is, um, I'll just convert it here for you. So there's knots to kilometers an hour. So that's 101. Is 55. So that's the flag with half a barb. And then 60, is getting up into 110 or so. So not too bad. This is very far offshore. Um, but it's these areas, in the Strait of Georgia and in Juan de Fuca that's going to be interesting to see how strong they get in there. Um, and the other part that concerns me is as it moves up towards the north offshore, those winds will shift around a little bit to the southeast. And the southeast is really when we see in Port Alberni, that's when we see um, the strongest winds usually in our area. So this is 45 knots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 45 knots. So that's what 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah. So that's certainly going to be enough to stop ferries and stuff like that. But let's back out here, and we'll look for just to see what we can see as far as the predicted wind speeds. So this is more what you're used to seeing. And we'll just have to see if they get to us yet. So yeah, it does look like it does capture the storm. So there's Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. You can see the storm just down off the picture there, but look at those isobars. That's impressive. Um, so we'll just move that along, and yeah, these winds are just this is really something. So that's Let's see what those are. Yeah, see, there's a pink guy in there. What's that? Pink is 85 knots. Uh, so that's the most intense there, is just to the sort of northwest corner of the storm. 85 knots is, yeah, 160 clicks. So that's the kind of intensity that we see from a 950 millibar or 950 hectopascal storm. So you're gonna offshore, they're gonna see, 80, 70 knots, which is certainly extreme. Now, as far as us, um, we're not gonna get anywhere near that, thankfully. But I do want to see here what's the strongest we're gonna see. And again, what I really worry about is the direction more so than the speed, but the speed certainly looks like it could be bad. So in even in so in the peaks here, you see those little patches up there. Those are 60 knot winds. So the top of the mountains along the coast there are going to see some very extreme winds, over 100 kilometers an hour for sure. So this in Strait of Georgia, this is 7 o'clock Tuesday. That looks like 45 knots or so. Um, it's hard to see. It's all jumbled up in there. Um, yeah, that's 40 in there. Um, so it looks like the strongest winds for now are going to be Tuesday night. Um, and it looks like it's a southwest, or sorry, southeast wind to east. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. Um, I'm not entirely sure that this is going to be an event on land, more so than just an event to see a really cool storm spinning out in the Pacific. Um, if it gets any closer than what it is forecast right now, then we could certainly have a very serious problem on our hands. But if it stays as it is, um, with just staying offshore, and I mean these are very strong. Like look at that. That's what is that? Let me just zoom out here again. So that's 60, 65. The red is 70. So, that's getting up into the 120 kilometers, but that stays offshore. So I'm reasonably confident that if this model is correct, then it shouldn't cause huge problems on the coast. I would expect BC Ferries to cancel sailings on Tuesday night, just out of an abundance of caution. But the rest of Tuesday should be fine. You can see this is Tuesday. This is Tuesday afternoon. Thank goodness. This is just, look at that. That's amazing. So that's 60, 65, 70, 75. There's 80. That's all offshore, of course, but that's a very impressive system. So, but it doesn't look like it's going to impact us in a serious fashion as of now. Um, I think it's going to move up the coast, and maybe it'll weaken a little bit and then move into Haida Gwaii. But I don't think we're going to have a huge um, you know, issue out of this. Now, I'll of course will be looking at this and waiting for more of the models to come out, more of those forecasts to come out. Um, it's not on the high resolution forecast yet. I don't believe. I think it probably only goes to Monday for now. There's Monday, Tuesday. There's Tuesday afternoon. Oh, it almost gets there. So it the high resolution forecast only gets to Tuesday afternoon, so not close enough to get an idea of what it's going to look like super high res. So I'll keep an eye on it for now. There won't be much else that is going to come out of this other than wind. I don't believe we have any rain or snow to worry about too much. Let's go to this guy. Oh, sorry, the model is taking its time. It's late. There we go. So that's Monday. Excuse me. Tuesday night. So get a little bit of action on Tuesday night. And this is showing some snow, but I don't think that's going to have the impact that it does show right now. We'll see. Um, but yeah, well, interesting. I suspect this will still just be um, up on the mountains, so maybe the mountains are going to get a bunch of snow on Tuesday night with this storm. But you can see Vancouver is bare um, through the whole thing. So I don't think this will be a big event as far as rain or snow. Um, but we'll keep an eye on it. So I think that's going to be it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in